Hello, and thank you for giving us another opportunity to spend some time with you on Stairway to Health, brought to you by Health Experts Canada. We've got some great ideas, new information, and hopefully a few laughs for you today. Who knows? If you're not careful, you may learn something.
Well, what a day it's been.
No, you say, oh, hello.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say it's been a whirlwind of a day today.
It has been
Today for us,
busy day.
and it's been crazy busy. Part of the reason for that is we both took a little me time yesterday.
In my
You
case, it was
time,
me
yeah.
time.
You
Yes.
time, me time. We both took a little bit of time for ourselves yesterday, and I, for one, got out to play I know this is embarrassing as a golfer. I got to play my first round of the season yesterday, but it was for a well-deserving charitable fundraising event for the local Meal on Wheels for seniors in our local area. And I thought that was just fantastic. It was an amazing round of golf, some great guys, great people, met a lot of great people. It was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Certainly exhausting by the end of the day.
Oh, you
But
poor thing.
but it was a good way. It was a good way.
Golfing and dinner. It exhausts you, doesn't it?
It was exhausting.
Yeah.
But it was a good way to fill me up, right? It filled up my cup. It gave me it was good. It was just
I'm
amazing.
assuming it was more than one cup that got filled.
Could have been more than one
Yeah.
cup filled, yes.
Mhm.
Needless to say, today was a lot of intermittent fasting and lots of water. But it was crazy. I mean, you took some time off for yourself yesterday. You actually traveled, not like far and wide, but you
No.
did travel to someplace you had never been before.
That's right. Yeah, we each took some time off yesterday, and Frank went golfing, and I traveled, as he said, to a hamlet in New York State.
Wait a minute. Hamlet. That's like a magical fantasy place,
No, it's a real
hobbits and
place.
stuff.
Yes, yes, there was fairies and hobbits. It's called Lillydale, and
I've heard of it.
yeah, and for those of you who haven't heard of it, it's a very, very small, I would have called it a moor, but they call it a hamlet. That's celebrating, I think this year its 145th anniversary.
Wow.
And very little other than electricity and indoor plumbing has been done to this area since its conception. Famous people have been there, not just me. Famous.
Well, I mean, you're famous in your own right.
No, famous people. It is an area that people go to because it is referred to. Their claim to fame is it is the center of spiritualism.
Okay.
I thought it was for North America. They claim it's for the world.
Oh, wow. That's a big claim.
But here's the thing. It only has 300 and I think they said 82 permanent residents. And in the summertime, when they open their gates up to the general public, they have thousands and thousands of people that go there. But in order to live there, you have to be a medium. You have to be
Wait.
not as in small, medium, and large.
No. Okay, I wasn't going there, but that was quite good.
Yeah.
A medium. So like I used to watch a television show.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if the name was Medium
Yeah,
or something,
probably,
whatever.
yeah.
But famous actor, he portrayed himself. He played a medium on the show, helped in a lot of police cases, crime problem solving. The Mentalist, that's what it was. Yeah, Mentalist. Great show.
Yeah.
But that's what you're talking about. Like the people that live there, permanent residents, the only people that live there are mediums.
Yes. Yeah, and their families, I guess.
Sure.
Like their husband, wives, whatever.
Okay, so that's kind of cool. But why would they all congregate into one central location?
So happy you asked. It's because scientifically, this particular area on our planet has a very high vibrational frequency from the Earth.
Now you're talking my language.
And a very thin vortex up above. So
Mm.
for people who um, converse, interact with spirit or whatever
Spiritual realm.
realm, or people who take messages from past life people, etc. They all congregate here because the vortex being thinner, they get better reception. I mean, I don't know, I don't know how
Well,
else to put
okay,
this.
listen, no disrespect, okay? Like this is a serious thing.
No, it is, but
These people are legit. Apparently, what I know about mediums that we've talked about in the past, they like real, true. I mean, I don't know, maybe the New Jersey medium, madam, whatever. Like, I'm assuming they have to go through some level of course or
oh no, it's a
education
vigorous
or
test in order for them to
testing.
be in Lilydale.
Okay,
And they
so it's
have to,
legit.
oh yeah, and they have to score over an 80 percent in order to be considered to be there. It's a big deal, huge deal. And I can tell you that they take personal one-on-one, you can, go and book something. I didn't do that. I went for other reasons. I went for the place is gorgeous. It hasn't been disturbed by all of our, up and coming things. The houses are all so gorgeous because they're old, but they've been maintained. Nothing can be changed. But the forests and the water and all wildflowers, and it is such an amazing place. You can't help but feel connected to the universe when you're there. You just can't help it. So that's why I went. Interestingly enough, I had a person pick me out of a
A
crowd,
medium.
a medium, yes, pick me out of a crowd and started asking me if I knew what she was talking about. And I did because, as a lot of you know, all of my family has passed. My brother, my parents, my grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody is gone. And this woman started using phrases and describing my father. And I was
Wow.
really taken back because I wasn't going to say doubting Thomas, but that's not why I was there. I got very emotional and I got
Naturally.
really,
I mean, that's kind of
but the
that's
feeling, the vibration, the whole thing about being there, it took your breath away. And there were people who were just sitting there, taking it all in. That's what I did. I spent a lot of time in the forest, sitting on benches. Like they don't even clean up the broken things from the in the
well,
forest.
you told me they weren't even really benches. They were actual tree stumps
Stumps,
and they
yep,
like areas where you could sit that were still connected
to the
to the
ground.
ground,
Yeah.
to Mother Earth.
And so what I did, because Frank and I have been doing this for 15, 20 years maybe, is I took my hiking shoes and socks off when I was sitting on the stumps and they were all surrounded by grass and got that wonderful feeling that we all get, we remember as children, when you get to take your shoes and socks off and run around on the grass because it feels so good and it's so much fun. But I really, I believe that when I do that, and we get more of an opportunity since we've moved here than we did before, um, to get back in touch with nature. And I had my shoes and socks off, and I was sitting there really soaking up I want to be able to remember how this feels right now in this moment. And when I sort of paid attention to the rest of the area, I noticed I wasn't the only one with my shoes and socks off, and people were walking the dirt path in between the trees in bare feet.
So this is, I mean, you're really leading us into
Why
why we're here
yeah.
tonight and what we want to talk about. But before I move a little more scientifically into grounding and earthing and why and what it's all about. You mentioned that famous people go to Lilydale.
Oh, they do. Seriously, now it's no joke. For a very long time, one of the houses there, I don't know what year, I should, but I'm not a historian. Susan B. Anthony lived there. She was
She's
ahead of
women's suffragette
yep,
and
yep. And that's where the whole thing started because she felt the energy of women. When Wayne Dyer was alive, he was there every summer for a week um, for himself, not giving not
Not
giving
giving of
speeches.
himself, but
No,
not
but
not working.
no, but absorbing, recharging. Um, uh,
Oh, my favorite guy, you told me he goes every year.
mhm.
Deepak Chopra.
Chopra, yeah, he goes every year.
I like him for his glasses, by
Yeah,
the
I
way.
know you do. That's what he's known for. Yes, Deepak Chopra because of his glasses.
No, no, seriously,
Uh,
he was the first guy to actually get me to meditate, like to truly
yeah,
feel
I
a
took
meditative
Frank
state.
to see Deepak
Um,
Chopra in Toronto.
so really, I credit
So,
you with the ability to
pick
have
out
felt,
glasses.
no,
Oh no,
no.
for Deepak.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes there to recharge, to ground himself. And I saw yesterday that next month, Nikki Newman from Y&R,
The Young and the Restless?
that's right, she's going to Lilydale for three
Is
days.
she still on the show?
She apparently is, and she's a big spiritualist. She's
Wow.
very, very into um, communicating with her ancestors and her past life experiences. Anyway, and she's going to be there for 3 days, so you don't want to
Well,
miss
hey,
that.
I mean, most of Hollywood is into that, right?
Yeah.
Into that. And there's nothing wrong with being into that. I mean,
No.
I self-admittedly, I'm, born and raised Roman Catholic. I find myself these days, and certainly for the last several years, decades, far more spiritual than religious. Um, at the same time, I understand why, because now let me obviously, Marilyn and I had a great conversation last night when we both respectively got home and, could speak to each other about our days. But one of the things that blew my socks off, but it wasn't really a surprise because it should have happened. And you telling me it just confirmed everything. You walked yesterday over 12, 13,000 steps.
Hmm.
Now keep in mind that you left early, but you were in a car for like, 2 hours on your way there.
Hmm.
You were in a car for 2 hours on your way back.
Yep.
When you got home, you were resting. Obviously, after that kind of a day, it's both emotionally draining, physically draining. But for that short, relatively short period of time, you put in that 12,000 plus steps and, you know, bad knee,
Mm.
bad hip,
Yeah, my hips are fine.
right?
My knee and my yeah.
Pulled muscle.
Yeah, I
I
did do
mean,
that
these are
gardening.
these are things. I mean, these are injuries sustained, not recently or maybe some of the pulled muscles, but these are injuries sustained over years of hiking and trail
Yes.
hiking
Yep.
and climbing and like stuff that you had done
Hmm.
quite vigorously, over many, many years. So these aren't new injuries, but these are old injuries. And as we all know, or most of us should know, we feel them, right? Even I feel creaks and cracks from when I was rowing competitively or when I used to ski, my knees, or, anything of the nature, even golf, right? Golf elbow, tennis elbow, tendons, ligaments, rotator cuff. There's all kinds of things that creep up, right? The more we abuse our body. But what blew my mind, okay, years of you dealing with these old sort of injuries that are always underlying, 12,000 plus steps yesterday. You didn't use any hiking poles
No, I
for the
took them, but I
trails.
didn't need them. No.
You walked that amount of time and you never once felt an ache, pain, injury. There was nothing that you could say. You literally were shocked because you didn't actually start to feel anything again until you were back here almost on,
Oh, until I
almost
couldn't get out
home.
of the car in the driveway
Right?
because I went,
But
okay, legs, let's move. Oh, you're not going to. No, but it's true. And again, we go back to that feeling, those vibrations, the earth's ability to sort of, I don't know, attune you, give you
well,
that sort of
I'll
tune up,
yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, when we talk, so you've expressed that it's a place where people go to ground themselves, to connect with a much higher energy frequency. The vortex is thinner, so the universe and the level of communication between you and anything you're trying to manifest would be incredibly great in Lilydale. But the reason for it is that there is an immense amount of electrical charge in the earth,
Absolutely.
negative ions
Mhm.
flooded. Okay. They've got a flood of negative ions in the earth. When you take bare skin, you take your body, whether it's bare feet, whether you are in shorts and you sit with your legs out on the grass, on the ground, any way possible that you have the ability to connect your body to the earth, to the atmosphere, to nature, those negative ions are going to charge your system.
That's correct.
There's going to, and what happens is a number of different things, but there has been so much scientific work and study done on the concept of grounding, or some people call it earthing. And it really is just about reconnecting your body to nature. And you only need as little, in some cases, as little as 15, 20 minutes
Mhm.
of time with bare skin touching the earth in order to get an anti-inflammatory effect on the body.
Now, let's qualify what you mean by earth. Like it doesn't have to be raw dirt that you're sitting on. It is
No,
anything like it can be grass,
it can be grass, it
it
can
can be
be
like a sand.
sand.
There are places that have porous old brick kind of things
Yeah, I mean,
with the
old stone or anything, like especially old ruins that are buried
yeah,
inside the earth with the earth touch, like that kind of thing. Concrete, no.
plastic.
Asphalt,
No.
no. Plastic, no. Um,
Well, because that prevents the vibrational good of the earth from
Now, from reaching you, from
yes, from
actually
reaching.
getting into the body. But to be fair, okay, for let's say you don't have access, right? And I'll be honest, when we lived in the city, okay, we had a wonderful townhouse, beautiful subdivision, lots of nature around us, but we had a 20 by 20 backyard. We had artificial composite decking. We had artificial turf, grass in the back, so
Mhm.
we didn't have to worry about lawn maintenance. Um, so we really didn't have any. We had a little tiny patch of grass on the front lawn, which didn't really serve any significant purpose. So there wasn't really any way of grounding where we were.
No.
Now, we found there are ways around that,
Mhm.
and it's pretty incredible. But what I wanted to mention is if you're in a situation like that and you're near a tree,
Mhm.
you literally only need to reach out and touch the tree and expose your skin, your hand to the tree. Touch, hug a tree,
Mhm.
right? That whole concept. Hug, touch, embrace a tree and let your bare skin feel the tree bark, okay, the trunk. As long as the tree is alive and it's getting energy from the earth, you'll then receive that energy as well.
That puts me in mind of yesterday in Lilydale.
Mhm.
They had at the late 1800s, they had a huge tree um, in Lilydale, and they referred to it as the healing tree because people would go and do that. They would touch it, they would hug it, like rub their hands on it, and believed that whatever it was that they were suffering from was healed by the tree. And apparently it worked because yesterday when I was there, there is a complete big blank area where the tree used to be because so many people rubbed the tree, hugged the bark, whatever. It literally, like,
It
it
died?
died. And not, I don't mean a slow and meaningful death. I mean, it just literally got smaller and smaller from people.
You're kidding me.
No, from people hugging it,
The
rubbing up
transfer
again.
of energy
I guess that
at that volume?
and that, well, you know what happens if you've been into any old churches in Europe and there's statues and people believe if they rub the statue, it like cleanses them.
Mhm.
Well, then you see this guy with a flowing robe and there's this great big
Cave area.
cave area where the hands have been
Oh
constantly
man,
rubbing. Well, they did this to a living tree, which eventually just got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller
that's
and
crazy.
disintegrated. But they have it all roped off, saying this is where the healing tree was. sorry about your luck, you can't touch it now. But yeah,
Wow.
but this premise is not new. Having grounding or allowing the earth to regenerate your body. I mean, we're going back to the mid 1800s.
Oh gosh, you could go back to biblical times.
Yes,
I mean, look at the way most people walked or traveled by foot. It was barefoot, right?
absolutely.
More often than not. And it was barefoot on dirt or, sand or, there wasn't a lot of grass in
Okay,
certain
but
areas.
let's be clear here. We're not
I
suggesting
know.
that you guys, take your shoes and socks off and walk downtown Toronto or Montreal or, in the States.
No.
Who would do that nowadays? Because I know I've seen people and what they do on the sidewalks, and I'm not walking on them.
No, but electrons like the electrons in the earth, okay, these negative ions and these electrons, when you put yourself on the earth for any length of time, those electrons flood the body. Now, anybody who's worked with us one-on-one in any of our health-related weight loss programs, optimal health-based strategies, they hear me speak on quite often the whole concept of alkaline versus acidic and how the body thrives in one format and literally dies in another.
Mhm.
So obviously, okay, if you're highly acidic, it's going to start to destroy internal cells, cellular communication, internal organs are going to suffer, and so forth. The more acidic you are, the more unhealthy you are. The more alkaline your body, the more your cells have the ability to thrive. Now, what's interesting about this concept is that it has been shown and proven through blood work, through a number of medical universities, that if you are a highly acidic individual, and blood tested before grounding,
Mhm.
and then you ground, especially for a lengthy period of time, there's enough electrons flooding your system to actually create a more alkaline blood state, which is phenomenal because it means it's enhancing your body's natural immune system.
Mhm.
It's, controlling the inflammatory response in your body. And that's how it helps to control things like chronic fatigue and pain and muscle weakness and soreness. There are other things, right? They're looking at people who have seen improvements with sleep disorders, people who have seen improvements with stress and anxiety, mood disorders, depression, um, even things like cardiovascular disease.
But isn't that because if your body is lacking and you do something to regenerate it, recharge, like it's
It's like a
recharging a
recharge.
battery,
Yeah.
then you balance it out again. I know that I said earlier that this is not new. Frank and I have been doing this for 20 odd years. In fact, because we had no availability in
In the
where we lived
city.
in the city, we bought grounding pads that you can put your feet on while you're working at the computer, or you can lay on them on the bed for while you're watching a half-hour show or something like that.
No, it's not just a mat, right? Like you have to plug it into
You
a
have to plug it
grounded
into a
outlet,
grounded outlet
right?
so that it is grounded, the pad is grounded, and it works like it does. Now you were working with athletes about
Oh,
15 years ago, maybe 20 now.
20, yeah, at least 20 years ago. We used to speak on circuit to a lot of marathon run, well, a lot of runners in general. It wasn't just marathon runners, but every different level of runner, a long distance runner. And there was actually a movement, shortly before we ended speaking to these groups, we were being introduced to a number of these individuals who were working on this concept of barefoot running. Now,
Mhm.
anybody who's a runner has heard of this. It's been written about. There's many people that do it still to this day. It's actually a fairly large movement. But this whole concept of running barefoot, and some people think how, running barefoot, like the pressure, the pounding, the heel, the feet. Okay, look, there is obviously a special technique in order to do this, but trail running and even running, on grass or sand,
Mhm.
I mean, there's a lot of this that takes place barefoot. Think about, even some triathletes. I mean, when you
Mhm.
think about where they come out of the water and they run along the beach before putting on shoes and jumping on a bike, like there's so much of that. Speaking of which, grounding also occurs if you are submersed into a body of water that is naturally connected to the earth. So it could be a pond, it could be a lake, it could be a stream, a river, an
Ocean.
ocean,
Hmm.
right, of some sort, or the open sea. So there's lots of ways that you can actually achieve the same benefit of grounding. You just have to be somehow connected, your body connected to the earth's atmosphere.
Well, I think it's about 5 years ago now because it was pre-COVID. I went on a yoga retreat to Ireland, and one of the things we did during one of the days was to walk, hike, whatever you want to use, the cliffs in
Oh,
Ireland.
the cliffs of Moher.
More and beautiful experience,
Oh,
gorgeous. And it, unlike here in North America, those cliffs haven't got fences up around. Like there's grass
be careful.
and then there isn't, and you just, the cliff is the cliff and then the ocean is the ocean. But I would hazard more than 50% of the people who were walking those cliffs when I was there were barefoot.
Yeah,
Like they had their shoes tied in knots, like their thing
I can
over their
imagine.
shoulders, and they were walking, and they were regenerating from the ground, because
Well,
that had salt air, it had the cement from the cliffs, like the rocks, it had the grass, and it was
I
a
mean, that would have been incredible energy to have experienced, period.
absolutely.
But that's the idea. And just going back to the runners for a second, this whole barefoot running thing, what they noticed and what they were recognizing is people that did this correctly were experiencing far less knee injury and knee pain,
Hmm.
far less back injury and back pain, far less strain and stress on the joints. And part of the reasoning they figure is because of the constant connection or grounding, right, to the Earth's surface.
But when
So,
you look at it too, over the years, the last, okay, let's say 100 years, because I'm guessing, but our footwear has got us further and further away from being barefoot and connecting with the earth, because now we have sponge and memory foam and certain rubbers
sure.
and whatever, and it just gets, and then you get your inner sole, which is something else again, and so you're not only not having direct contact, you're not even having indirect. You're not
Right.
anywhere near that. So
No, it's true.
but this grounding has is nothing new, but in the last 6 months has become very
Yeah, it's
popular.
really exploded. I mean, we watched a documentary on it way back, which is what started us with the grounding mats. But there's so many of these movies and testimonials and personal anecdotes of people explaining how they've benefited from grounding. Those of you that have been watching, our Healthier You Q&A sessions on the regular here, you know that one of the things we did during the total solar eclipse in the path of totality where we are, one of the things we did was all removed our socks and shoes and literally stood barefoot on the ground for the entirety of the duration
And
that
that
took
was
place.
cold.
It was not, it was cold,
It
right?
was
It
cold.
was wet, it was damp.
Yeah.
But I mean, go back to that feeling, that emotional feeling of like when you were a kid.
Mhm.
I grew up, on and near my grandparents' farm. And there was nothing better in the entire world as a kid than when we were out there in the orchards, in the dirt, on the dirt paths, or in the grass, rain pouring down, running around next to nothing because it was hotter than Haiti out there. I mean, that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And you feel that beneath your feet. Any of us that have ever spent any time on a beach, either in a resort or elsewhere, and you walk barefoot on the sand, that's a whole different experience, right? If it's a whole different, there's no better feeling than the sand beneath your toes. So I mean,
I don't know.
what
I'm not a big
says
fan
the
of
beach
sand.
man to the pool girl.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but and even if you can't, if you don't have that direct exposure to earth, okay, or enough of it around you, grounding mats, grounding sheets, grounding blankets, grounding socks, grounding bands, grounding patches. There's so many available options now for people.
And they're available online to
They're
order to
totally
be
available.
delivered to your front door.
Obviously, you want to, research the companies and look into it. I mean, we actually ordered our products directly from the company started by one of the forefathers of the whole grounding movement.
Yes.
So we knew we were getting a quality product. And one of the things that I would do, I mean, yes, we used it beneath our feet while working at the computer because here you're exposed to a lot of EMF frequency and stuff. It's not the healthiest thing for your body on a constant basis. So grounding helps. Grounding helps to rid the body of certain toxic chemicals, right? But I used to put it at the foot of my bed, underneath the covers, on the at the foot of my bed, so that when I slept, my feet, my legs, my calves, or some part of my body, skin, was touching that mat. And it actually did make a difference to overall sleep, quality of sleep, deep sleep, level of sleep. So it's not new. It's been around forever. It's experiencing a pretty significant resurgence at the moment, but it is all about energy frequency, and that electron exchange or flooding of the body.
And everyone has to admit that no one can deny that when you have bare feet on clean grass in the summertime, I mean, there's no better feeling. And it's not because of something you can pinpoint and put your fingers on. It's just there's something about having your feet, like without shoes and socks on the dirt or on the grass
Yeah.
or something like that. It's a whole feeling that comes through your body. And there's scientific proof, there's scientific reasoning why you get that feeling. And it's the same, like Frank was saying, if you go into a body of water and just allow yourself to, relax, exhale, float if you want to, or just sit down. I've seen people on beaches sitting in the sand and letting the water rush over them. So therefore, they're grounding in the dirt.
Mhm.
They've got the
Plus,
water over the top of them. And you can't be angry. You can't get upset. You can't
no,
be when that is around you. And so it's just,
it changes your mood. It changes
yeah.
your whole outlook, because you're dealing with a much cleaner body system,
Mhm.
at that level.
You'd almost think that, we were meant to do stuff like that, eh?
Well, true enough.
Who knew?
So much of it is based on exposure,
Mhm.
length of exposure, right? The amount of time spent. One of the things that we see, I mean, it's maybe anecdotal because there's nothing that I can scientifically pinpoint to it, but multiple clients of ours, me, myself, and I, first thing in the morning when the weather is conducive, I'll go outside into the backyard, stand on the grass and bare feet, first light as the sun is rising,
It's
where
the
the
best.
UVA, UVB, where all those UV rays are at their lowest threshold. So there's no negative impact to the body or to the skin. But you're getting, as long as that natural first light is hitting you, you're still getting flooded with natural vitamin D3. Practicing breath work, doing some type of box breathing or breath work technique, all of this combined, holy, like mind blown in terms of how much benefit there is to the body. That whole feeling of just you're so decompressed at that point. You are ready to start your day on the right foot. You're of clear mind, clear vision, clear thought. Your energy is super high, elevated. Like there's a lot to this. And
Mhm.
we've seen it happen time and time and time again with something like this being added into a person's morning routine.
Or
It's all
you
about
could
that
do
level of self-care.
Qigong in the morning.
Qigong. I mean, you did
That's
this
my
in
favorite
you did it,
time.
listen, you were in Tuscany, in the Tuscan mountains, practicing Qigong on grass, barefoot,
As the
outside
sun
right, as
rose.
the sun rose.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, there's a reason why you feel so bloody good doing it in situations
Yeah,
like
but
that.
even here, where
You
we
can do it
live
here.
on the
Yeah,
grass
you don't
at
have to go to
sunrise between
Tuscany.
5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning is the nicest time because the sun is just rising. And Qigong in itself, I love because it's not putting pressure and it's not, you're not panting, you're not, overexerting, but it does so much to help with the strengthening and conditioning of the muscles. And it's a
Oh,
good mind workout
of
as
course.
well.
You're putting a lot of attention on your core, right? It's the movement is very, very specific.
Yep, it is.
Um,
But doing it at that time and grounding at the same time, again, I say you come in, and if after you've done that, which is what I usually do, is have a shower and get dressed. I
yeah,
mean,
ready
man,
to start your day.
that's the best way to start.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope we were able to shed a little bit of light on things here. Your day yesterday at Lillydale sounded way more therapeutic and way more energizing than my day on the golf course.
But
But
it was.
yeah,
But there is, in order to get somewhere like that, to be energized and to relax, you, in our case, have to go to Buffalo and go through customs and, immigration and
yeah, yeah.
everything
So, I
else.
mean, but worth it.
It absolutely definitely is. And you don't have to go to southwestern New York State, to a place that's 150 almost years old, to get that same feeling. No matter where you live, everybody has hiking trails, everybody has public parks, whether they be city parks or whatever. I can pretty much guarantee that in all those parks, there's going to be a patch of grass somewhere.
Oh,
And
yeah.
if you want to get up early in the morning and go to the park and sit on the bench, or take a blanket and sit on the ground, or put your, whatever, do some grounding in the morning
Yeah.
before everybody else comes. And the only people out at that time are dog walkers usually. But,
Oh,
like,
hell. Yeah, the way the temperatures have been and how hot it's been, forget it, man. Throw caution to the wind. Go stand outside, turn on the sprinkler, barefoot in the grass, let yourself get soaking wet. Pretend you're a kid. It's good. It's fun.
it would be fun. You should do that
Absolutely.
this week. Make it a plan.
Yeah, this week. All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for sharing. Thank you for telling us all about that. I appreciate it. And I hope everybody learned a little bit more about the benefits of grounding or the benefits of earthing. Give it a try. I think
Mhm.
you'll be pleasantly surprised. I mean, you do it for introduce it to your morning routine now that the weather's so beautiful. Do it 7 days in a row and then reach out to us. Let us
For a long time. Like
no,
a max 20
again,
minutes,
15,
half an
20
hour
minutes. Let us
maximum.
know how you feel. Let
Yeah.
us know if it's impacted you in some way. We'd love to hear your stories. So goodbye for now. Everybody enjoy the beautiful weather.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Talk soon. Bye for now.
So that's all the time we have today, but there's still so much more to talk about and learn. Head over to healthexpertscanada.com for more ideas on healthy living, and don't forget to like, download, and share this podcast with your friends, just for the health of it.